small plank wagon for this ideally, so I'm going to use this old triangle wagon for my tender. Just going to spray some water on this. Bit of super glue, bit of baking powder, bit of super glue and a bit of baking powder. This should be well and truly set now, so we'll drill into it. Fitting pickups is a fiddly job no matter how you do it. We want to take a wire from each terminal of the motor and route it down and through, so I know that this wire wants to connect to this side. Hi again folks, how's all doing? Welcome to part 3 of tenderising this little 040 locomotive. I'm hoping this will be the final part. There's not much to do now. Just got to connect the wires up to the pickups, paint this and stick some crew in, and we're good to go. So in the last video we left off where I'd determined that this wire connects to this side, so it'll connect to these pickups on this side here. So I'm going to feed the wire up through there, like so, and then we'll feed this one up through there. It's important we get the length of these wires right. And we'll need to twist these to keep them neat. It's this side, so that wants to go down through there. And then we want to cut the wire, solder it to that pickup, and then we need to take another piece of wire to the other pickup. About there. And I want to strip that. So, and that's going to have to be that long. Cut that, strip it. Twist those together. This is going to be a wee bit of a fiddle. There we go. So that's the pickups on that side connected up. Do the same for the other side now. There we go. So there we go, that's my pickups wired up. Not the neatest soldering job in the world, but never mind. Again, let's just make sure this is twisted up right. This is why it's saying it's quite important to get the length of these wires right, otherwise you have too much slack. There we go. We'll maybe tidy the wires up a wee bit and try and secure them in place a bit, but I think that's fine. So I think what we'll do is go and stick this on the layout and see how it handles going across diamond crossing, because that's really where 040 is going to have a problem. Just get this out. Come on, out you come. Just wondering what scope there is for adding a little bit of weight into this. I think I could do with it. We'll see how it goes, but I think we could cut some of that polystyrene away and get some weight in there. But we'll see how it goes. Let's go and try it in the layout. Okay, let's give this a wee test. problem at all. Right, so that seems to work okay. Let's put that to one side just now. And what we shall do is do a bit of work on this tender body. I'm going to paint it, but I'm also going to cut away a bit at the front here. So I'll get the rotary tool for that. Put a cutting blade on. Clean this up a bit with a scalpel. There we go, that'll do. And now that we've done that, we can paint it. So I'm going to paint it blue. I mean, you can paint it any colour you want. It doesn't have to match the locomotive. But, you know, the one I did before, I painted it blue and then weathered it up. And I quite like the look of that. So I'm going to do the same. But it would look just as authentic if it was just, you know, sort of plain wood covered in coal dust. But I'm going to do it blue. Because I want to. Right, paintbrush of a decent size. What on earth have I done with it? Oh, gee whiz. You can never find the one thing you're after, can you? This one might do. It's an awful big paintbrush for this, but this shouldn't be too much of a problem. This needs a good shake. Hands up all those of you who've been shaking a little tub of paint and it's had a cracked lid or the lid's not been on properly and you've done this and covered yourself in paint. I've done it at least twice. I remember doing it, I was making an Airfix kit down in the living room. I remember doing this and black paint splashed everywhere. I was in the house myself. I managed to clean the paint up, but the house was absolutely stinking of turps. Fortunately, my dad was a heavy smoker, so nobody really noticed. But I could see the stain on the carpet and the chair covers. Remember those nylon stretch chair covers you used to get? I could see the stain in it, but my mum never noticed. Right. Oops. Right, this is an awful big paintbrush for this, but shouldn't matter. Should probably undercoat this, but it'll be fine. It doesn't have to be a perfect paint job. So I'm really not bothered if the paint's a bit streaky. It's fine. Enamel matte paint would probably be better for this, but I tend not to use enamels much these days, just simply because of brush cleaning. You know, acrylic paints clean up so much better because it just comes off with warm water. Not having to use turps or paint thinners or anything. But yeah, it doesn't go straight on to dirty old plastic particularly well. So if you're looking for a good finish, you really should undercoat first. But for this, it really doesn't matter. Okay, we shall let that dry. Right, I'll clean this brush and I'm going to go and get a spot of lunch and we'll get some crew sorted. Well, that turned out to be a long lunch break. This is actually a couple of days later. I've been busy getting some work done in the house, so just got a bit distracted with things. But off camera, I've painted up some crew, so we'll pop them in. I've actually secured the tender body on with 4 little screws, just drilled 4 little holes and put some M2 screws in just to secure that, because otherwise it'd be falling off all the time. So all that's left to do really is do the black paintwork on this tender body, and I'm going to put a little card plate on the back of the locomotive. But first of all, I'm going to finish my tea. Right, so a little piece of card, just going to cut this down a bit. It's a bit too wide. And that's going to get stuck onto the back of the locomotive. Don't want it too wide, don't want it too narrow. That'll probably just about do it, I think. I'll just cut the corners off. Like that. I'll stick this on just about there. I'll just stick it on with some Yoo-hoo. Good glue for using with card. And it means that it'll stay put while I position it. So while that glue's setting, I think we'll stick the crew in. It's the same crew I used on my own 040, so this guy should go in here okay, I think. Might have to cut his feet off. Oh no, he goes in okay. And we'll have to break the shovel off. I mean, we could have him facing the other way, but yeah, I think we'll just take that off and just have him stuck in there. Let's get that out of the road. Stuck in there like that. Again, I like to stick figures in with Yoo-hoo, just so I can position them. Set them in place. Let's get you out just now. And we'll get this guy in. So there's the crew in place. We'll let that glue set and then we'll get the black paint out. Okay, some black paint. Just along the inside of the tender. Like that. And then we'll do some dry brushing. Just take some of the black paint off the brush. So just by running that paintbrush along fairly dry, you get quite a good effect. I remember the first time I ever did some dry brushing, I was painting a figure, and it had a sword and shield, and I used silver paint, did some dry brushing. It was the first time I'd done it, and I was amazed at how effective it was. It's just one of those painting techniques that every modeler should learn. I mean, it's dead easy to do. Just take all the paint off the brush, just leaving a tiny little bit, and then just whack it on. There we go. That'll do. And then we just need to paint up that plate. Right, so there we go. I've painted up the plate. Got my coal dust all painted. I'll wait for that paint to dry before I pop that back in. And then we're done. Okay, paint's dry enough. Let's get the coal in. Like so. And we're done. Right. Of course, we need to test that the tender is supplying power to the locomotive. So if I lift the locomotive, keep the tender on, turn on the power, the wheels turn. So it's doing its job. Okay then, let's go and get on the layout. So there we go, that's this wee Caledonian 040 tenderised. So just a quick recap on what I did to this. I attached wires to the motor terminals and ran them back through the locomotive chassis, underneath the coupling and then under the tender, up through to between the tender chassis and the body, and then down to connect to the pickups that are fitted to the tender. The wheels I replaced the existing plastic ones with are insulated on both sides, so any sort of pickup that contacts the axles wouldn't have worked, but with the right set of wheels that would be possible. I cut the buffers off, I cut a gap in the locomotive end of the tender, painted it up and stuck some crewing, and of course I made the coal load using some double gauge coal, some PBA and a piece of polystyrene, and of course I made that little drawbar out of a couple of crank pin screws and a bit of cable tie. Now I was intending putting this up for sale, however I much prefer this one to the one I made a while ago. I've always thought the wagon was a bit too large on that one. So I think I'm going to hang on to this one and pick up another Trang or similar wee wagon and redo the previous one. Then I'll stick one of them up for sale, I think. Thanks for all the comments and emails about this wee project. Lots of interesting ideas, but there we go. Job done. Okay folks, catch yous later.